Welcome again to another episode of the Nigerian Theatre Witnesses to History. We started last episode with Mr. GREGORY ODUTAYO, who is a full-blown theatre artist. He has immersed himself in all areas of theatre and he has stories to tell. We started with his movement from the diploma class at the University of Ibadan to starting radio stations and television station in his life. And we were just talking about how he divinely got allocated frequency for the Lagos station that he had already lost interest and hope in, and it just happened. Now tell me, and you can't blame those who said you must have given something to Ezekiel or any other person, because that's the way we see things in our country.
Yes.
Nobody believes anything happens without your having
to do something.
So it's a good thing that you are saying this on the record, that this came to me, I didn't have to pay a kobo. Having moved from there, what followed getting that license and the frequency?
You know, I always say that we are who we want the country to be. You know, and like I said in the last episode, I had to even personally defend you. I said, no, nobody should spoil this woman's name. As far as I'm concerned, she's an amazing Nigerian. And when I started to even look up her, you know, you find out that a lot of people had fantastic things to say about her. And it just shows that the system can work if the right people
are in position.
Place, you know, and that was how it was, you know. It was from there we evolved to now say, okay, how do we get the station going and all of that. Good enough, we already had, Ibadan was already running for about 5 years, you know, before then. So we took the same template because it was successful.
Right.
We wanted to do just entertainment.
Right.
So we're just an entertainment focused station. And if you look across all our platforms, the TV in Lagos on Go TV, the radio in Lagos, the radio in Ibadan is purely entertainment.
Right.
We don't do hard news. So if let the president and the House of Assembly be fighting from now till tomorrow, if there is no entertainment in their fight, it will not get on our station.
Right.
Because we believe that if you need those hard news, go to the hard news stations. Go to those who do. So even our news is entertainment news. You know, it's not your regular hard news. And it's been a challenge running that because a lot of people don't think it should be like that. I've had station managers who said to me, we can't make money with this entertainment that you want to keep doing. You know, but that's my belief. And I will stuck to it. We've also stuck to our urban outlook because we believe urban is what we want to do. It's taken a lot. I've even had to fire managers who decided to change and said, no, these stations have a DNA.
Yes.
Urban is our DNA. I'm a Yoruba lover. I love my Yoruba. But I don't want us speaking Yoruba. We have a 30% for Yoruba in it. And it's strange for an Ibadan station, for instance. You know, but I kept to it, and we've been able to maintain it. You know, so it's really been challenging. But we always say, when everybody gets tired of the plethora of Yoruba stations in Ibadan, for instance, they want to go somewhere. So we should be there for them. They shouldn't come on our platform and they have to hear the same Yoruba all over again. You know, but we've made it work, and we're still going to make it because we believe that we need to digitalize, we need to specialize. It shouldn't be an all one size fits all. Everybody needs to have their niche and their, you know, space within the is fair.
Before I take you back to the diploma class, I want you to talk to how your training in radio, formal training, has been useful in creating the DNA you spoke about and in staying with it, not moving out of, because part of what we see is that many stations don't have the identity that one can reckon with. Their programming does not reflect any philosophy that we can really hold on to. How has that been useful? Knowing what you want and sticking to it.
Sticking to it. I would say that theater gave us the foundation, but I also always say that with university education, it's a lot about what you put in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you will take out.
Yeah.
If you put in a lot of work and you define where you are going, define it clearly, you are able to, find expression. Because all that training does for you is give you the foundation.
Yes.
A very, very solid foundation.
Yes.
For you to just, build on. So basically, theater gave me the foundation. And in doing theater, in doing the various plays, yes, we're taught radio, we're taught TV, we're taught, like I said, I didn't say camera until I graduated. So the tools were not really there. But I was sure of what I wanted to do. A lot of my formation, I would say, came from between cinecraft and advertising.
Right.
Because my decision to say, hey, I want to do just radio and TV. If I'm not employed as radio and TV, I don't want to be employed in advertising, because that opened my eye to a lot of things. Radio commercials, TV commercials, documentaries. But the foundation of it was what we were taught
in theater.
In theater. Theater is that very broad, industry. But it defined us. It gave the discipline.
Yeah.
It gave the discipline. It gave it. A lot of people look at me today and wonder, because I was more of a practical student.
Yeah.
And I still tell them that I came out with a solid 2-1. I missed first class by just a few points. But we were always on the road. We were always in the field. We always go to Abeokuta. We go to this. We lit, because I also did lighting in UI. We lit a show for Fela with 3 lamps. A whole Fela. And Fela himself was like, these people that are lighting me with just 3 lamps. How are you doing it? Because even the gobos we're creating, we're using our hands to do it. These are things that technology, has created for you now. We hold the different colors and we're just waving it, and the whole stage is going colorful and all of that. And we ran shows.
Right.
We ran shows, and that gave us that resilience. Because for you to do radio, for you to do TV, you must have resilience.
Yes.
Otherwise, you would get tired.
Yes.
So UI gave me that resilience. The training in theater gave me that resilience. Gave me the patience. It gave me that understanding. It gave me the discipline. And these are things that came from that formative years. Are things that later in life came to become the foundation on which we're able to build on.
Okay. The first day you entered your class, your diploma class, which class was that?
Can I remember?
Theater history, introduction to
diploma
theater,
was more broader,
theater.
more practical. I was actually one of the youngest in the class. We had veterans in our class. Jayola Tide, Joke Muiwa, Foluke Oguyemi. Those were my class. Those were elderly people, in quotes, because we were the youngest, we were the smallies in the class, and these you were rubbing shoulders with people who had already had 15, 18 years experience in the theater, because it was a mix. So you had to catch up quickly. There was no room for
you need to work hard to make your own impact.
You need to struggle. You need to rub shoulders with them. I remember my first, directing, and it comes back to those things that we were taught in class. My first directing project, Uncle B was my directing teacher. It was a Femi Oshofison play that I directed on stage. I had a settee on the stage, and my actors, we'd done all the rehearsals, several rehearsals, and I had blocked them in front of the settee. On production day, they carried the scene and carried it behind the settee.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. My actors took it to the back of the settee. But I mean, the show went on, we finished it. So when it got to Viva, the external examiner was like, so why did you carry that scene to the back?
At the back of the
set? I said, well, there was a conflict going on stage, and I wanted to use the settee to create a barrier in that conflict from the audience to the actors playing it. So I used the settee as a barrier. Uncle B was looking at me with one eye. But I mean, I said it with a very straight face, and at the end he came after Viva. He called me and said, "You are Moburuku." Why did they end up? I said, I don't know, sir. I don't know how they ended up there. He said, well, the thing I like is that you didn't stay there. You owned it. You took possession of it. You defended it.
That's what I tell people now. What you are saying exactly is what I tell people. In the theater, it teaches you to think.
Think on your
Even when you see that thing that is going wrong, you try to contextualize it within your own plan and see how you will absorb it, own it. Now, you spoke about training for radio and for television and not seeing.
Yes, it's camera or...
That was a problem even when we were there. And it actually caused a lot of problem because Sambe was our teacher there. We were going into the studio. They have these cameras, good cameras, at the Department of Education. But he never permitted us to use it for one day. And then when we were going to do practical theater, that exam for broadcasting, he said we should produce something. So I said, no, we can't. Professor Hill, Errol Hill from Yale was the external examiner. He said, why? I said, we've never touched these things before. Despite all our entreaties, let us use it because we are expected to produce. We knew that.
Yes.
So he asked Sambe, is it true that they never used these things before? He said, yes. I said, why? I didn't want them to spoil it. The man became livid. The professor, he was an African American. How could you say that these people would spoil equipment? In any case, what's the job of the department and the lecturer if equipment is spoiled, is to repair it? So I don't know. Is there any kind of feedback to the department on that kind of gap in the training that is?
Yeah, for me.
Because you have also stayed in that area of the theater.
Yes.
That it may be effective coming from people like you to give a feedback.
To a large extent, a lot has changed in a lot of the departments.
Mm-hmm.
I use that word carefully. A lot. I didn't say all the departments. Because on departments till today are still teaching Stanislavski and Brecht and Grotowski, and nothing practical that helps the students when they get
in the
out
marketplace
of the university. Incidentally, when I was NATA president, we started a process. Myself and Imadan Daura, Professor Imadan Daura, who was SONTA president, we started an initiative. Unfortunately, we couldn't complete it. That initiative would probably have revolutionized the training because Ima was very meticulous about what we wanted to achieve. because he understood the university system, and he understood that, look, the only way that this dream of both of us, Nanta president and Sota president, will be made real is if NUC,
the National
takes
University
Universities
Commission,
takes it as a directive and passes it down. So we started to try to get NUC from the top.
Engage.
To say, look, these students need to practicalize whatever training they're doing.
Yes.
Third year, they need to go on internship.
Right.
Do practical.
Right.
Go into the field.
That's the kind of feedback that I thought.
we had that plan because for me it was a no-brainer. Because we never had that interaction, but we had the opportunity to create that interaction, and we had pushed it up to a point. Unfortunately, our predecessors after us, especially from my own NANTAP side, didn't really see value in that, unfortunately, and that's how that process died. But some of it now is happening in a lot of universities. A lot of universities now, third year, they send them out to go and do CWA, or what they call it now. They do practicals, but it will have been a joy for it to be something that was being done in all the universities. So, but
it's formal that every university must do it.
Yes, but a lot of the universities are doing it now, and I'm sure the kids are better for it. You have kids nowadays who do computer science, and they've never operated a computer in their life. How do they do it? It's tough. It's almost impossible.
Yes.
And our field is worse. But technology have revolutionized a lot of things now. They can shoot with their phones. Yeah. They are always on it.
Yes.
They can be trained to use it.
Yes.
A lot of universities, even our NUTAF now has inculcated digital into it.
Right.
They have competition for films. They have competition for short films and all of that. So I think the change is happening.
Right.
A lot more departments are not just theater anymore. A lot of departments are film.
Yes.
And media studies. So they are more practical oriented. They have all those access, and I think a lot has changed. And it's a no-brainer, really. It's one of the biggest employers of labor. We're the second highest employer of labor in Nigeria after agriculture. So when you look at our contribution to GDP, is significant. I was even telling someone that I think we're undervalued, because a lot of us still operate outside of the formal sector. So we're not really fully captured. That if we're really fully captured, we should have a bigger cut of the pie, but it's not really happening.
Talk to me about maybe 2 productions, whether you acted or you directed, that you found satisfying or perhaps challenging when you were in Ibadan.
When I was in Ibadan, I know we did Death and the King's Horseman at a point. Was directed by Professor Shegun Ajewi. I think it was one of the most challenging, and there was also, I think, there was a Shoinka play that was done by Dakpade Lugba. It was quite challenging. I also remember a play that was directed by Professor Bode Showande, in which I played a Frenchman, and I had to speak French. I had to go learn some French words. Bonjour, some very critical sentences in French. I think that's one of the most challenging roles that I've taken on. I was seeing about 2 months ago, I ran into a Professor Drew, and he sent me some documents that I signed. I was the lighting controller for NIB plays. I think it was Death and the King's Horseman. No, it was this Chino Achebe, Things Fall Apart.
Things Fall Apart. Okay.
And I was the one that ran the lights. And Okuduro was the one that had the contracts to do it then. And I ran the lights, and I think it was 1,400 naira or something for the whole thing. He just sent me the contract that we letter, and I just laughed over it, those were challenging productions. This was a production that we took, round so many places. It was probably my first taste of professional theater. Because it happened right after university, and it was very interesting. It was very exciting. UI was exciting.
I'm happy that you took advantage of what UI offered, because I always tell people that let your children go and do theater. You'll become a well-rounded person.
Yes.
Because, like you said, you learn perseverance. You learn management. It's compulsory. You learn to manage people. You learn to manage resources.
Yes.
You manage your finances. So you've used all of that in your projects as you continued to grow. When we come back next episode, I want us to talk about NANTAP and the way forward for the Nigerian theater and entertainment industry. Thank you very much, Mr. Gregory ODUTAYO.
Thank you, sir.
Again, I'm sure that you would have enjoyed all that is offered on this episode of the Nigerian Theater Witnesses to History. He's been a reliable witness for this program, and will continue with him to foray into other areas for Nigerian theater artists, so that we can keep the records straight. And until then, continue to like as you watch this program, continue to share so that more people can be brought in, and continue to toggle the subscribe bell so that you can have notification for future editions of the program. Until then, it's bye.